One thing that I love, and a lot of you probably do too, is coffee, right? And for me, I refer to some of my, many of my skin tones as like coffee flavors or types of coffee. So I have an espresso skin tone recipe, I have a mocha, and what we're going to work on is an Americano. If you know anything about coffee, these all have different colors because of the type of milk or whatnot that's inside of it. So if you are looking to get that skin tone, this is the tutorial for you. I appreciate you guys for being here, and I can't wait. Let's go ahead and get right into what you need and how this process will go. First thing you'll need is a authentic vinyl doll kit. You can purchase an authentic kit from McPherson's, Dolls by Sandy, Trueborns, Irresistibles, or a resale. Just be sure that if you do purchase one, it comes with the necessary paperwork, like a certificate of authenticity like you see here. You can also purchase kits from Bountiful Baby, which are very inexpensive. Let's discuss brushes. So you can use these type of brushes for shading. This is just an assortment of different shading brushes that you can purchase from any reputable dealer or Michael's, Hobby Lobby, online on Amazon, or just anywhere where you can find brushes suitable for oil painting. Then we'll go over to the palette knife. You will also need a small palette knife. This is to take out paint, to help mix paint, and spread paint. In addition to the small palette knife, you'd also need a mop brush. This mop brush is to help remove any excess paint that's caught or left in between creases. And then wash brushes. These brushes are for neutralizing your doll kit. At any point in time during the process, you can neutralize. And also for a toddler kit, these sizes would be great for shading as well. The size of these brushes would be 3/4. And lastly, an assortment of liner brushes. These are your detail brushes. This will help you get into those small spaces and those fine detail areas of kits. Next up would be modeling sponges, and you can purchase these from asmallworldnursery.com. There's a QR code if you want to scan that. You'll also need a puppy training pad. Depending on your station, you'll also need a puppy training pad. Paper towels. You'll also need these that have a cotton tip in. Estheticians normally use these, but this is really good to help get paint out of creases that may be a little hard to get with the mop brush. And cosmetic wedges. These are two types of cosmetic wedges. The ones on the right I highly recommend because of the angled tip. Really helps you to pounce paint out of creases, and it's a larger surface, so it really helps you to pounce paint off of a larger surface area. This particular wedge is still good. It just doesn't have that very angled tip. And I do recommend getting wedges that are very dense. You don't want to have wedges that will easily soak up the paint. You want a sponge that is pretty resistant to you squeezing. And these are the same density. You'll need a mason jar or something similar. This is a 2 to 4 ounce. I want to say this is a 4 ounce container. Then you'll also need a tray, and then you'll need a bowl, a clear bowl. I recommend clear so that you can see the pigments being dissolved into the solution, the thinning medium or the thinning solvent. So the jar is for more of wash consistencies. This bowl is really good for your thinning medium mixtures that will have a yogurt consistency. This palette tray will serve the same purpose as the bowl. It will allow you to mix thinning medium and pigment really well against the glass, and you'll be able to see everything on your palette. You also want a yogurt consistency anytime you're using this tray. This cling wrap I recommend to preserve your paints overnight whenever you need to come back and resume painting from one day to the next. Let's get into prepping the kit. This alcohol can be used in conjunction with washing your kit, or if you decide to just wipe down your kit to remove any oils that the kit may have from the factory. Secondly, a primer, a good primer. A good primer could be an actual primer, which this one is from McPherson's from their Exodus line. This just allows the kit to receive some texture so that your following paint process will adhere appropriately. The next item you could use for a primer is a matte varnish. The matte varnish will do the same thing that a primer would do. It's just up to you as far as which one you would like to use. Gamsol is my odorless mineral spirit or thinning solvent of choice because it does not easily or quickly evaporate from your painting tray, bowl, or container. This will last you an entire painting session. And this is used for a wash consistency or to add extra movement to a yogurt consistency or a shading layer. Thinning medium. The Irresistible thinning medium is the thinning medium that I have found that will uphold many layers when painting dark babies. So I do recommend, highly recommend this thinning medium out of all that I have tried. Typically for my wash layers, I just use Gamsol. And for my shading layers and for any other layers that I may need paint to stay in that area, I'll definitely use thinning medium to create a yogurt consistency with a little splash or two of Gamsol. The Gamsol just helps to move the paint and to make it more flexible. These two varnishes are really good together. Half and half really make a great combo for sealing your kit. And these are from the Gemini line of Bountiful Baby. You will also need a color wheel or artist wheel, as this one is described. This helps you to neutralize your kits, as well as helping you to balance colors as you're going throughout your process. It is very possible that you could end up with an orange tone whenever you are painting a dark baby. And you'll notice that in order to calm the orange tone or to get rid of it or neutralize, you'll need to use the opposite color, which is blue. Blue would help you neutralize that orange so that it will be a neutral brown. And this is the underside. The beauty of the underside is it gives you a variation of colors of this red-orange family. Most times you'll find kits in this particular color here, and that means that you would use, opposite of that would be this color to neutralize the kit. As for your paints, for this tutorial, you'll need Flush 02 and Burnt Umber. I'll open these so that you can find something comparable if you don't have the Genesis line. I do know that Irresistibles makes a very comparable dark brown to this. And the beauty of it is it doesn't have that red tone that this Genesis does. And then this is the Burnt Umber. This Burnt Umber has more of an orange tone to it, and that's okay, because we'll be sure to get rid of that in the painting process. Those two are our main flesh colors for this tutorial. In addition to those flesh colors, we'll also need what I call neutralizing colors as well as deepening colors. First things that you'll need is an ultramarine blue or something comparable. This is the shade of blue, which is more like a royal blue. Secondly, I have Iridium Blue 02, which is essentially a green, more like a forest green. And then a carbon black or a Mars black. Mars black I no longer have, but I do use carbon black in place of it. Next up will be our mottling colors as well as our blushing colors. First color is crimson. As you can see, I am scraping the barrel of my pot, so it's almost time to explore other options for this color. But you can notice the berry red color that it has, almost like a strawberry, a very deep strawberry, not burgundy, but a very deep strawberry color. That would be a Crimson 02 on the Genesis line. And then an eyelid purple. This eyelid purple is used to enhance colors. It's also used for mottling. It's also used for blushing. This color is really used for a lot of different purposes. For the nail tips, I would recommend this set from Reborn that you can find at McPherson's. This will help you create the bed, the moons, and the tips. The moons are completely optional, and I'll be sure to link the tutorial for this. I would also recommend an ear purifier. Gloves, and something to hold your limbs throughout the painting process. This is actually a mug holder that I purchased from Home Goods. It's weighted and heavy so that the limbs won't fall off. And lastly, you'll need a fan to cool your pieces after they get out of the oven so that you can continue painting. And for heat set paints, you will need a New Wave. Pro Plus is the version that I use. And you'll also want to have the ring that it comes with, plus an extender ring. This was actually silver, but I just spray painted it. And then this is the base of the oven. I have the extender ring for this big kit that I'm doing. However, if you're just working on newborn kits, you can certainly just use the one ring that comes with the New Wave oven. So let's get started. We'll go ahead and use our 70% alcohol with the cosmetic wedge and apply that to the entire kit. And just so you know, for this tutorial, I'll only be doing the head, one arm, and one leg. Of course, what I do to one arm, I will do to the other, and what I do to one leg, I'll do to the other. This is just for the sake of time, so this tutorial is not 20 hours long. But I am making sure to rub this alcohol all over the kit because sometimes kits do come with oils on them after they were removed from the mold at the factory. So this is just another way to ensure that all of it is removed. If you choose to wash your kit, you can skip this step. But if you choose not to wash your kit, you could do this step alone. And using a cosmetic wedge is the best thing to use because it doesn't leave lint behind like a paper towel or a cotton round would. It is also possible during this tutorial that you may be able to speed the process up. I have slowed this down or kept it in real time to keep in mind the beginner artist. Some people prefer a slower video, so I'm doing what's necessary for everyone. Also, you will notice that I am doing things that I don't normally do, but I'm doing it again with the beginner artist in mind. So I want you to see the correct way of doing things so that you understand that there is an actual process. And once you get into your own routine of painting and creating your reborns, you may decide that there are some steps that you decide to skip as well. But I want you to know that this is the correct way of doing and beginning a kit. Using the color our artist will, we're going to neutralize our kit to ensure that we have a neutral base to begin with. It's so important that your kit is neutralized to ensure the subsequent layers or colors will come out the way you expect for them to. We're going to take a look at the kit and see what color it is closely matching so that we'll know exactly what color opposite to neutralize. So I see that it has this pink hue to it. So we're going to use the color opposite of the pink family, and that would be the green. In my case, I'm going to be using that Viridian Blue 02 to neutralize my kit from the pinkish tone to a neutral color. In your case, depending on your kit, you may use blue if your kit has an orange tone, or you may use purple if it has a yellow tone. Every kit is different. Just be sure that you are using your color wheel to find the color that your kit currently matches at this point. Anytime you are applying any color, I always recommend that you start at the back, just in case the color does not come out the way you expect for it to. But you also want to do a swatch test, which is what I did on the paper towel. It's so important to ensure that your color is exactly as you want it to be. If the color does not appear to be the color that you expect for it to be, then you would want to use thinning solvent to remove that current color. Ensure your mixture is correct by doing another swatch test on a piece of paper towel. Then start on the back of the head again to start the process over. Remember, you are going for a wash consistency or skim milk, so you want to be sure that your color is seen but not overpowering. If it does become too pigmented or too opaque, or you see too much of the green, all you have to do is add some more thinning solvent to your mixture. But we want to ensure that the consistency is more of skim milk than tinted water. And when you are neutralizing the kit, you want to cover the kit in its entirety. That's including the lips, the nose, inside the nostrils, as well as the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. Let's take a mop brush and remove any paint from the crevices or creases of the kit as well. After dipping your wash brush into your skim milk consistency, be sure that you are taking that brush and dragging it along the rim of your container to remove or drain off any extra paint so that you aren't overly saturating your kit. anytime you're doing the limbs, you want to start at the hands on the arms or the feet on the legs. Painting from the bottom of the limb upwards makes it a lot easier for you to manage the limb, as well as prevent smudges or fingerprints. am taking out this primer and applying it to my palette tray. And I'm putting just enough so that I have enough for the entire kit. And I'm going to take a smooth cosmetic wedge that has not been altered in any way. I'm going to work out any lumps that may possibly be in the primer. It shouldn't be, but I'm just making sure. I'm going to apply it directly to my wedge, because I want to have as even an application as possible. So I'll start with the back of the head and just ensure that it is going on smoothly, because however it bakes is how it will come out. And of course, as we add subsequent layers, we'll start to see those lines. So we want to make sure that we don't. So as you're pouncing, be sure to go over and over where you previously laid paint. So now that I've started, you can see that I am taking my sponge and I am now dabbing it into the primer on the wider side, because this will cover a larger surface. So I'm going to do this primer over the entire kit. When it comes to the ears, you can go in as much as possible with the wedge, but I also like to go in with the brush. I'm going to go back over the ears and all of the creases with this primer. Just being very careful to get every piece of it. And you want to turn the kit to the side from different angles to see where you may not have applied primer, because it is very possible that you have missed a spot, especially when you're dealing with something that does not have any color. And I have ran out of primer on my palette, so I'm just going to add some more primer to my palette. And it's a lot easier to work from a palette versus working from the jar, because we're able to just dab our sponge into it. I'm going to do a generous amount this time because we have an entire kit to do, which is a huge toddler kit. Didn't need to apply that much, but I am just spreading it. I don't want to build up a lot of primer in one spot, so I'm going to bring it down all over. Go behind the ears as best as I can with the wedge. And I do this instead of relying on the brush fully, because I don't want to have brush marks, or brush strokes rather. I would prefer not to. So as less of an area that I have to use the brush with, the better. So I'm going to apply to this side of the face. I'll also go inside the mouth to make sure that there is paint. To make sure that there is primer inside of the nose so that additional paints will adhere. Let's do this side of the face. And we'll take one of those liner brushes. Get my brush. Good and saturated. Let's go into the mouth and all the crevices, into the nostril. And using this brush is also helping to get that paint out of there. But because we don't want to have streaks like we have right now baked into our primer layer, we're definitely going to go in there with an angled cosmetic wedge to get rid of that. While we have the liner brush, let's go ahead and do the ears. Go into the ear canal and the other side into the ear canal. Into the freckles, all the sit in. Okay, so let's grab, hopefully you have an angled cosmetic wedge. If not, you can find them at CVS. It's the jumbo one plus other wedges. So I'm just going into all of the pieces, working in that primer. Angled wedge into pieces as best as I can. We want a very smooth application. We don't want any lines from the cosmetic wedge baked into our baby. So the benefit of having used the smaller wedge first and then going back over it with the larger wedge is, of course, this one will make sure all the lines from the previous wedge is no longer visible, just ensuring a very smooth application. Okay, so I feel pretty strongly that we have gotten an even application, but to make sure, keep hitting that plate, but to make sure I am going to look at my kit at different angles. I'm looking at how the light is hitting the kit, and that's how I can tell if I have any spots where there is no primer, because it will appear dry, or if I have lines, I will see the streaks. Like in some of the creases, I got extra shininess, and it should be like a matte finish whenever it is ready to go into the oven. By matte finish, I mean like the shine that you currently see will no longer be visible. It will have flashed off. All of the primer will have flashed off. And I'm just being extra generous with the pouncing. Not that I really see anything. Well, I do see something right here. I see a spot right here. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a spot that's less shiny. And I'm just going to dab my wedge into that primer. Go back over it with a larger wedge just to make sure there are no lines. Alright, so I'm going to set this to the side and let it flash off. So, for the arm, I want to make sure I really get the palm of the hand. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to use one of those liner brushes and dab it into the primer. And the beauty of using the liner brush is that we can get into those creases that are on the palm of the hand and in between the fingers really, really, really good. It doesn't matter if you go in a vertical motion or horizontal at this point, because we're really going to be pouncing this off with the cosmetic wedge. So we're going to turn our hand over make sure we have absolute coverage over the entire hand and in between the fingers and over the nail bed. And be sure you also get the tips of the fingers as well. We don't have very many creases in this kit, like as far as on the, like this is not really closed in really good, but, or tight rather, but we can go ahead and take our liner brush and get into that crease. Because what we can do with the rest of the kit, and I'm also getting around the wrist, with the rest of the kit, what we're going to do is just use our wedge because we have a pretty much a wide open surface. So let's take our angle tip wedge cover the entire portion of the hand and the sides of the finger. The inside and outside. All of these areas here. You may have noticed that I removed my glove, and I did that because I want to make sure that I can really point out different areas on the kit and different spaces on the kit. Sometimes when I have on my gloves, the tips of my fingers will be really flabby because of the extra material of the glove, and it's hard to point. It's really hard to kind of point out where I'm trying to get you to see. So if you notice I removed my gloves, and that's why. Okay, so let's take our other cosmetic wedge and continue to prime the kit. And I am using the wider side, not the end, not this part, but the flatter side, so that I can cover, I hope you can finish that by now because I said it a few times. You can finish my sentence. I'm just rotating it. I have it resting on my pointer finger. And I am just turning this, rotating it as I see fit and as I have applied primer. And my apologies if I have used primer and paint interchangeably. What I mean is primer at this stage. Okay, so I am going to take my larger wedge and just counting to make sure that this layer is even as possible. Going into the palm to ensure there's no extra primer hiding from me on both sides of the fingers. Inside and out, and the nail bed and the tips. Alright. We're going to do the same thing to one of the legs. I'm going to put this on the hanger to let it dry. Or flash off rather. Onto the legs. So I'm going to start with the soles of the feet. brush just to ensure I can really work this primer into all the features of the toes, the nail bed, the tip of the toes, underneath in this very tight area, as well as in all the little creases on top of the foot. Just like I did with the arm, I'm going to go ahead and put some primer into the bend of the leg. And then we see 2 creases here. I'll go ahead and put some primer in those creases and finish priming the side of the foot as well. So let's take our hand, hold our limb here, and begin to count. All right, we can take a look at the foot just to ensure that it is completely covered with primer. There are no dry spots. Everything is pretty shiny. And then we'll go back and take a look at the creases with our angled tip wedge. Let's just continue going up the leg with the primer. Keep rotating this limb. So as you can see, my hand has now shifted to the top of the limb. So working from the sole of the foot upward is the best way to apply your paints, your primer, anything that you are using or painting on the entire limb. Because there will be times whenever you are doing like veining and modeling and things like of that nature that may not go over the entire kit, but it's important to note that really regardless, you should start at the foot or the hand area. It just makes for easier managing as you apply your paints. Okay, take our larger wedge, just going back in here, making sure everything is good, which I felt pretty confident about on the palm. And just continuing to pounce. And pounce any lines off of that smaller wedge, from that smaller wedge, if there are any. All right, let's take a quick look. See if we see any dry spots. I think we're good to hang this up to dry. So we'll let this flash off. And let's look at our head and see if we are ready to place this into the oven. A little speck of dust or something. Remember, however you put your kit into the oven is how it will come out. I think our head is pretty much ready to go into the oven. I'm just doing a few last minute touch-ups because I want to ensure a smooth application. Nothing is wrong with blending and blending more. Absolutely nothing. If anything, it'll make your piece better in the end. So let's go ahead and put this into the oven for 9 minutes on 265. And then after it bakes, I'm going to put it into the oven just like this. And because I'm rooting this hair, I want to make sure that all of the paint and primer, all the layers are completely cured. So I'm going to put it into the oven facing forward and then for 9 minutes. And then once that is finished, I'm going to turn it over this way for another 9 minutes. Because sometimes whenever you are putting your kit into the oven, the head, like especially this portion, may not get as much coverage. Now granted, the hood is on top, it's not necessarily to the side, so it's not like it's making a difference, but nothing is wrong with ensuring that you are baking your piece more than once, especially the head, because you're going to be rooting. I have found that oftentimes whenever I get to rooting, I will have white holes in this back area because I have not fully baked it or allowed the paints to fully cure. Okay, so all pieces have baked and we are letting them cool in front of the fan. I have a fan on high to speed up the process so that I can continue to paint. Be sure that after your limbs have baked and you are allowing them to cool, that they do not touch, because I've had paint peel after separating limbs from one another. So be careful that you don't let your